We don't usually do a hilly race on a Thursday night as one of our T2.5 rides, but Chris Jupp convinced me. He begged me, can we do a hilly race? And I caved. So I set up a hilly race. The one downside is, Thursday, before the race, I wasn't feeling too good, to the point where I very, very nearly didn't ride. I didn't record an intro to the video because I didn't think I was going to ride. It was 10 minutes before I'm putting my clothes on, I'm getting on the bike. And even now, I'm snotty, bit of a sore throat, just feeling a bit run down. Did a COVID test, that's negative, so it's not that, just not feeling 100%. But I got on the bike anyway. Let's see how it went. So this race is a lap of the Greater London Loop in London, funnily enough, and includes a climb up. There's someone on a TT bike there, C-Cross. That's going to be more difficult to stay in with a group with riding with a TT bike, unfortunately. But yeah, this includes a climb up Box Hill. We don't often do hilly races, and I was a little bit nervous going into this one because I know that I can't complete on climbs. My main aim has got to be to stay in with the group for as long as I can, and then do the climb and see where I am at the end of it. So I kind of set out in this race thinking that was my aim, get to the bottom of Box Hill with the rest of the DCAC riders. A little bit of a group here, quite a big group, moving around quite quickly, but I can see K Quinn, El Warrior, see Shanji, Fat Bike. It's moving around too quickly to make sure I catch everyone, but a relatively big group. Got a CCAT rider, I think, will first ride with us, W. Pijatek. Apologies if I've got that completely wrong. Yeah, for the first time, I think, didn't realise that we have split starts and they do stop in a little while and join in with the C's behind us. But yeah, not a bad little start. 21 kilometres in total, and we've all bunched up quite nicely to kind of work with each other at this point to get further into the race. Just under 6 minutes in, and this is the first point in my mind where I think this could be the little bit more difficult. Is this small incline? I think it goes up to 3 or 4%, not quite sure. But it goes on for a little distance, and I'm thinking I've got to put out a bit of effort here. Heart rate's up at 158, 59. I've got to put out a bit of effort to try and stay in with the group, just because it's quite an easy place to split a group this with if you've got riders of different abilities and different weights. So I'm up at 360 watts, trying to put out what I can without, blowing everything on this little climb here, but wanting to make sure that I stay within the group for as long as I possibly can. But the other groups are behind us. We can see the CCAT are about 1 minute 47, 1 minute 48 behind us, so they're closing the gap already. They started with a 2 minute gap. Obviously, we want to try and keep those behind us for as long as we possibly can. And I get up to the top of this climb in a relatively good position, actually, in second position. So I'm quite pleased with that. G Fat Bike's pulled quite a long way off the front, but eventually we kind of settled back down into the group again, and we're just heading off around to do the big sort of loop around the back end of London now. Considering I nearly didn't do this race because I wasn't feeling great, I'm actually feeling quite strong, putting out good number of watts, over 300 watts every now and again. Heart rate's not too bad, keeping my cadence up as well. Just coming to another pinch point, I guess, for me is this slight climb out of the underpass, making sure that I'm just putting out that little bit of extra effort to stay in with the group. You can see I've had a couple of red zone efforts, which is, completely expected in a race anyway. But yeah, I kind of breaking this race into chunks in areas where I know I'm going to struggle a little bit to kind of stay with the rest of the group. And, these slight inclines are the things that I know I'm going to have to put in a bit of an effort to stay with the group. But doing it all right, and we're down to 15 kilometres to go so far, only 10 minutes in. And as I said, I'm feeling quite strong. I'm thinking, actually, I'm doing all right here. So it'll be interesting to see. And this is the point. Latix challenged me. He said he'd buy me a coffee if I beat him. And I'm just sending him a message back now saying that I don't think that's going to happen, given that we've got Box Hill coming up. But we shall see. We've got a little bit of a distance around the back end of London before we get to Box Hill. Coming up to 16 minutes in, and I'm quite surprised at this point at how strong I'm feeling. I'm feeling okay. I thought I might struggle a little bit. But we've got the C Cat who have merged already with the B Cat by this point. You can see them down below. You see Swan, Jay Bushell, 1 minute 12 behind us. C Waring and a few others down there as well. We've still got our group going quite well. We're all sticking together. No one's really it stayed together as quite a nice blob for most of this race, actually, as we progressed, especially through the flat roads. C. Shand, S. Clark, G. Fatbike, Rebel Spawn, Latix Warrior, I. Davies, B. Jenkinson, K. Quinn has dropped back a little bit actually now into the group behind. I didn't notice that happen in the race. But we're staying together and we're doing quite well, working hard. Obviously that gap between the Bs and the Cs comes down quite drastically as we head towards Box Hill, but feeling strong and feeling good. So I achieved my aim of staying with the group by the time we get to the bottom of the climb. I'm quite pleased with that. As you can see, we've just hit the bottom before the inclines kind of start, and the heavens have opened just to show that we've hit Box Hill. And you can see that everyone's slowly moving away from me. The group behind, 26 seconds, rapidly closing that gap down to 24, 23. That's closing quite quickly as we've hit these short inclines. We're not even hit Box Hill really yet. We're still coming up to that right-hand turn before we hit the climb. And I'm kind of looking around myself thinking, okay, I've achieved aim number 1. Can I think of something else as a challenge for myself for the rest of this climb? Am I going to have someone else around me that I can either try and catch or stay ahead of? I'm just trying to give myself that extra bit of motivation to push as hard as I can up Box Hill itself. Just making that right-hand turn, and you can see that gap's come right down, 4 seconds. 3 seconds, and we turn right here and they fly through, just symbolically flying through at the bottom of the hill and up up that hill into the distance as if it's really easy. But yeah, I'm settling in now. 272 watts, my heart rate's up at 170, trying to keep that cadence up so it doesn't become a bit of a grind, and just see where I fall out in the pecking order. And we're a little way up Box Hill now, and I've seen Andy behind me, Andy Bullymore. He's been closing that gap for a little while. He's a bit of a stronger rider than me, and I kind of knew that he would come past me at some point. Closing that gap down to me, so there he goes, off ahead of me. And I'm looking around, I see Rebel Spawns behind me, 12 seconds behind, and I kind of, at this point, think, right, that's my target. Can I beat him up this hill? And I'm pushing quite hard. I'm feeling my heart rate's up at 177, and having that extra push from the guys behind me is definitely giving me the motivation to push hard. Starting to feel it on my face. You can see I'm just putting that effort in. I'm sweating a bit. Still keeping that cadence up though, over 90 at the moment, 237, 240 watts, trying to push as much as I can without completely blowing it, to make sure that I can consistently keep pushing all the way to the top. Just try and pace myself a little bit. It's something that I'm not great at, but I wanted to give myself, every chance of getting up to the top by this point in front of Rebel Spawn. Slightly further up the hill and the rain has stopped, thankfully, because even riding in rainy, drizzly weather on a screen isn't great fun. Andy is now 14 seconds ahead. That gap with Rebel Spawn behind me is 12, and you can see I backed off all the way as I turned the previous corner. I backed off quite a bit, and I'm just gradually building up that momentum again. Back into the orange zone with a couple of spikes of red. I just needed to back off as I normally do. Needed to back off for a little while. My heart rate's up at 180, 335 watts I just saw there. So yeah, I'm giving this everything I can. I'm really wanting to push myself up here. And get up as fast as I can, and that extra motivation from Rebel Spawn behind me definitely helped. We're not too far off the top of the hill here. I've got that gap to Rebel Spawn up to 21 seconds behind me, but that's come at a bit of a price. You can see my power's dropped down a little bit a couple of times. I've had to build it back up, but I'm actually not feeling that good here. My heart rate's up at 180. It can go a little bit higher than that. I've backed off completely there again, and I'm struggling a bit on the bike. I'm standing up every now and again just to get myself going, but I'm actually feeling a little bit sick. I was a little bit worried that I was going to be sick, so I'm kind of balancing that act of putting some power out and getting myself moving forward and keeping my dinner down, which isn't pleasant, and it frustrated me a little bit because I'd actually really enjoyed the climb. I felt really strong. It just hit me as I kind of came up towards the last little turn up, and then as we turn out onto this flat here, and I'm shaking my head there, you can just see that I'm not feeling that great. So my power, everything drops right off. I'm trying to bring my heart rate back down, and I'm trying to just settle my stomach back down, trying to just feel better in general. And this kind of cost me this bit, because I literally back right off, and it gives Rebel Spawn the chance to close that gap behind me. And you can see here that this gap has dropped down to 11 seconds. We're still on the flat bit. In fact, we're on -2% at the moment. You can see my power graph's dropped completely. I just can't, I can't react to it. I can't do anything. I need recovery time. I need to settle everything back down again. And then we hit this horrible little lumpy bit that you get at the top before you crest the hill and go down the other side. And this every second that gap is dropping down to 7-6 seconds now, and I'm trying to get myself going, still trying to do that balance of pushing but not pushing too hard. What am I? My heart rate's down to 163, 255 watts, out of the saddle, just trying to give my body a different feel, hopefully try and recover from it. And as you can see, here comes Rebel Spawn past me now, and I kind of don't recover from it. Drops back a little bit, and then ups the power. Rebel Spawn ups the power, and he disappears off over the top of the hill, well ahead of me, and I just can't react to it. Despite at the moment I'm in an orange zone effort, and off he goes. He shoots off. It just ups. I don't know what happened there. He just ups the watts per kilogram suddenly, and disappears off up the road over the top. And I'm wishing for the top of this hill. I'm hoping at this point that my weight benefit will come in, but you can see that gap's already up to 2 seconds, 3 seconds, which is a big gap to make up on a downhill. And I just sort of back off, coast over the top of this hill, and keep my fingers crossed that just the downhill I can make up. That's 7-8 seconds now that I can make up over this downhill. So by the time we get to the escalator climb, it's down to a 2 to 3 second gap. But I know that I don't have a lot really to give here. He's up at 5 watts per kilo. I'm doing about 3.5, 4. I reach 4 here. 500 watts. I'm just out of the saddle trying to use my body weight more than anything to push me up, push the pedals down, and try and catch. But that has just put me back into feeling how I was a couple of minutes ago. I'm just trying to recover. I'm right on the edge of what I can do, which I'm so pleased at because I've really pushed myself. But you can see I'm shaking my head. I just can't get my legs going again. And that gap starts to increase slightly again. And we come into the home straight, the final 300 meters. We're down to a second gap. I can see him ahead. I think I've got to put a burst out for all it's worth. Try and do something here. And we do come together slightly, just within touching distance, within the last couple of 100 meters. And then Rebel Spawn puts some power down. I try and react to it, thinking, can I do anything? 870 watts. That's what I've got in my legs. And it wasn't enough, unfortunately, just at the line. But I was quite pleased. I managed to bring that gap back down, given how I was feeling. I was quite pleased to at least slightly challenge on the line. Yeah, I'm struggling to recover. I'm not feeling too good. And it does take me quite a while before I can even get off the bike. I was shaking afterwards. My legs were shaking, my arms were shaking, everything. It's so nice. It's a nice feeling that I guess we're all addicted to. We get off the bike and we've known, we've put some effort in and we've given it everything we can. Let's have a look at the final table then. John Kerr in first. Great to see you at the top of the leaderboard, given your recent flare up. That's awesome. Second, Jay Guthrie. N. Corbin in third. C. Jupp in fourth. Seymour in fifth. W. Piatek, welcome to the group, in sixth. Just beating C. Waring and C. White to the post there. C. Cole in ninth. C. Z.R. Scott in 10th. N. Slevin in 11th with another race to the line with John Bushell. Great racing. S. Greaves in 13th, C. Shan 14th, M. Blundell 15th, G. Fatbike, I. Davies, L. Warrior, B. Jenkinson, all of these with just a few seconds gap between some of these guys. Awesome racing. Andy in 20th, S Clark 21st, Rebel Spawn just getting to the post in front of me, and then me in last. It's not very often that someone will come last in the race but say, I really enjoyed it. And I did. I really did enjoy that. I enjoyed pushing myself up the hill. I knew I had no chance of staying with the rest of the group. I hoped that there would be someone that I could battle it out with, and there was. That was awesome. So thank you, Rebel Spawn. I pushed myself right to the kind of edge of where I could go. And gave everything, and it just happened that it was the last person in the race, but I don't mind that. I think it just highlights to me that the extra effort in the weight loss and the improvement in the cycling that I need to do. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyable. It's weird how we enjoy these things, that we push ourselves to limits, don't feel very well, and then really, really enjoy it, isn't it? It's a strange one. Talking about enjoying things though, Sunday, first round of the T2.5 World Tour. We are doing at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning, 10 a.m. UK time, one lap of the Ocean Lava Cliffside Loop, 19.3 kilometers, 156 meters climbing, relatively flat, and it's already set up in the Zwift companion app under the club, the T2.5 club, and quite a few people have signed up already, which is awesome. Get yourself signed up. The link is in the description below. I just want to clarify one of the rules that I probably wasn't clear enough on in the last video. The category limits. You race in your usual category. So if you're an A-Cat rider on Zwift, you race in A. If you're a D-Cat, you race in D. The same category limits for other Zwift races as well. The only difference is there's a slightly higher limit for receiving the flag that I mentioned, where you get flagged for either upgrading or the potential of having half points. So hopefully that clears that up a little bit. I'm feeling a lot better, actually. I'm feeling really positive about the bike. That race has really helped. I'm getting back into the swing of things. I've mentioned in the last few videos a bit about not feeling 100% mentally and raring to go. I'm getting that back now. I need to start getting on the bike a little bit more often, which I will definitely start doing. And start getting myself ready for this tour, which starts on Sunday, and getting as many of those rides. There will be some that I miss as well, which is why we've, well, not for my benefit, but we've gone for the whole 8 races out of 14 count, because we know that people have other stuff to do as well. So there'll be some that I miss. Hopefully I'll be able to come along to the big ones. I want to try and make sure that I do the Out to Zwift one and the longer races and stuff. So yeah, other rides that we do, all the information is in the description below for this week's rides. We've got the ride on Tuesday night, the race on Thursday night, Saturday banded ride, and then tour starts on Sunday. So if you want to come along to those, everything is in the description below. But that is it for this episode. Thank you to all of the channel members as usual. It means a lot to me to have you guys, so thank you for your support. If it's something you're interested in, link is in the description below for Buy Me a Coffee. But yeah, that's it for this video. If you had enjoyed it, do hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.